Buena's Cuda part, I don't remember. The continuing saga goes on. I missed last week's deadline. Donut shop deadline for the to drive the Cuda. Because I developed some other issues. Radiator's leaking, the heater core's leaking, alternator not working, the gas gauge is not working, I hadn't finished polishing it yet, so anyway, so today's little mystery is the steering column issue. What's happening is the ignition switch is real hard to turn. So I don't know if I can do this with, I don't know if I can show you, but anyway, it's real, the glue in it, the grease in it has turned to glue, basically. So the varnish problem I've had with the Dart is now a varnish problem with the Cuda ignition switch. So, I mean, grease isn't indefinite. Grease solidifies and turns to glue like everything else. So anyway, that's the problem I have. I'm not in a real position to start buying a whole bunch of expensive parts for this thing. And I'm sure the one I get for this will be from freaking China, and I'll have to replace it 10 times. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to marvel at the marvel. What did I do with it? There it is. Marvel mystery oil. Yeah, and then this morning I get in the car, and strangely enough, the driver's side is puddle of coolant there. And then there's drips on the heater box. So I don't know how it got over the transmission hump into the driver's side, but anyway, mysteries never cease in the world of pooch, man. So yeah, probably should have showed you how to take this all apart. I guess I could show you a video on putting it back together. I'm not at that point yet, but we'll chit chat about the car. Working on this thing, I had a flashback. So the alternator wasn't working. So I figured, well, let's see if we can get it to charge. And I had a little rat issue under the hood where it chewed the wires. On one of the videos, it chewed the wires for the pickup coil for the ignition. So I had to replace the pickup coil. And I'm thinking, we'll probably chew through another wire for the alternator field wire or something. So I started looking into that. It looked, kind of eyeballed everything, and I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. So I started looking at the alternator. The alternator was like this flat black, and it didn't kind of go with my theme, if I have a theme. Anyway, I know I wouldn't have painted an alternator flat black. So then I started to remember about 27 years ago, my brother-in-law, now ex-brother-in-law, had a Dodge Coronet, I believe, 73. And he lived out in Simi Valley or something. And he was struggling. And he didn't have money for an alternator. So I'm not driving the Cuda because the exhaust had rotted off of it and the top was coming off of it. And I was basically embarrassed to drive it. So I decided to park it. So I go, you know what, let me just take the alternator off my Cuda, shoot it out to Simi Valley, visit, throw the alternator in his car, and we're good to go. So we did that. And when I got home, I took his old alternator, put it back in the Cuda, put it all back together so I wouldn't lose any bolts or spaces or anything. And then that's where it sat for 27 years. So 30 years later, here we are. And that story had come back. Oh, I know, I put a junk alternator on the car. So I had one in the spare parts bin out there and threw it on there. Boom, sure enough, now the alternator works. So that mystery's solved. But that was interesting how I remembered that after 27 years. That I had robbed the alternator to donate it to a family member. So, yeah. Anyway, so today's project, is this stupid sticky thing. And the other problem is I don't know if you can see it or not. See that? So when I turn the ignition switch, like, I'll turn it to start it, but then the power windows won't work and the gauges won't work, which may be why my fuel gauge doesn't work. And I'll take the switch and kind of wiggle it back, and then I have power windows and stuff. So when I get done putting Marvel in here, which I might as well start doing that right now, start the soaking process. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can clamp that tight, because it has these little fingers here. I'm gonna try to see if I can squeeze it together and then clamp it tight, so maybe that'll take care of my situation. Let's see if we can do this. And it's gonna go everywhere but where I want it to, right? Of course. There it goes. And so ultimately, I want it to go down in the cavity here where the shaft is. That's sort of my goal here today, so that this thing turns nice. Yeah, it's funny. Lubrication is very important. My garage door here was having a hard time going up and down and all that, and I took some PB Blaster and sprayed all the hinges, and practically, I opened the door the next day and it practically flew off the back of the track because it moved so well. So yeah, lubrication is very important. I used to work in shops where, you know, floor jacks and all that, and the guys that grab the jack and drag it across the floor, and it would like squeak and carry on. And I'd go to grab it, and the thing would hardly roll. And I'm like, what the flip? We work in a cotton picking auto parts repair. Let's get some grease and oil on this thing. So I'd just spray the wheels, and then the stupid jack would roll across the shop, and everybody was just amazed. I was like, come on, man. All right, let me try this. Let me see if this is going to work. Maybe? Okay. So yeah, it's real stiff. So the idea is to get some illuminations in there and try to get this sucker to do something. I mean, at this point, if it doesn't take, I'll just have to bite the bullet and get a switch. But I'll just have to bite the bullet. Anyway, yeah. So I'm hoping this next week, which will be the last week in July of 2020, I'll be able to drive this. Well, it feels like it's, I don't know. I'll be able to drive this little puppy to the donut shop. So, I mean, that's all I can do. I can't really, because of, I'm just going to call them constraints. Because of constraints, I can't really drive it a whole lot. Plus, there's no car shows to go to anyway, so, what the heck. It seems like it's starting to free up, I think. Oh, I fired the dart up again today, and took right off. No hung valves. So I think what I did was yesterday, I put it back together, and I literally let it idle for 2 hours. And I started it up this morning and no hung valve. So I think I got that problem solved. I finally rinsed all the gas nastiness, and burned it all off. So yeah, it does feel like it's getting easier. I would like it more easy though, unless I'm fighting the spring in there now, maybe. The other problem was the lock cylinder. What did I do with the lock cylinder? What did I do there? The lock cylinder was all gacked up too. So I took some carburetor spray and cleaned it all off, and then the hole where it goes, I cleaned that out too. So I don't know. What do you think? Because once I clamp the thing down, I'm not going to be able to. Maybe I should just let it sit overnight, let it soak in and do its thing. Because that's how the Marvel mystery oil works. It's a marvel and it's a mystery, and you just have to work with it. It does its thing. I want to say it's 40% better, I don't know. It does still feel like it's sticking and binding though. And it's really close there. You can't, there's no gap. I suppose I could try to put a little dibbly dabbly on there. Turn it that way to see if it... Wow. Okay. Make a liar out of me. See how that works? It's a marvel and it's magic. It's a mystery. Wow, that's I want to say that's 80% better now. Huh. Chemicals are pretty, you know, back in the day I wasn't real impressed with chemicals. I mean, yeah, your WD-40s and stuff, but, and well, Magic Mystery Oil's been around since 1820 or whatever. They used to polish horseshoes with it or something, I don't know. But boy, yeah, today's chemicals are pretty amazing. You know, that Rain-X stuff was really amazing. Okay, hey, let's just throw this thing back in here. No, I can't. I gotta crimp. Let me see if I can crimp this thing. I'm all oily now. Great. Let's see if this is gonna work. I don't know if this is even gonna work. How am I gonna squeeze this sucker together? See, it's got like three. It's got three chingaderises here. And get it to move. I may have to smack it with a hammer or something. I don't know. Did it work? Did it? Did I amaze myself? Yeah, shoot, it worked. You need to get it in another spot. Maybe squeeze all three of them, see what happens. Okay, it's got a little movement there. I'll squeeze this one. Ooh, you know what? I hope I got the battery disconnected. Oh! The stupid, it burns! No, I don't have a battery in it. Well, that feels pretty darn good. All right. Let's see, how are you going to be able to see this now? All right, well, I don't know. I sure could use a camera person. That would be very helpful. All right, so let's see if we can put this back together one-handed. So the cabling for the turn signal and the ignition switch run down the steering column in this little tube thingamajigger, and you have to kind of fish it down in there. It's kind of exciting when you have to replace it. It's I'm not gonna go to that extent right now, but at some point you got to grab down to the bottom here and give it a yank. I guess I should have put the switch in the right spot. There you go. Give it a yank and pull it into position. Okay. I should call a one-handed auto repair. I guess, you know, I mean, if I ended up getting handicapped to some extent in regards to losing an arm or something, that's how I'd have to work. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then these are the screws. I'm gonna do this. I wonder how many guys actually I lose in my videos after about the first 30 seconds. Quality Pooch Man production. Well, that's not a Phillips screwdriver. Oh, I didn't bring a Phillips screwdriver? Yeah, I did, right there. I took my power one to take it apart, but I don't dare do that to put it back together. Okay, one. So you guys that are watching for the first time, this is a 1970 Plymouth. So they're all pretty much the same. I think till, I'm not sure, I want to say 76, I don't know. I worked in a dealership for a number of years, but it seems like a million years ago. And some of the stuff I used to do routinely on these cars, it's like, I don't have any recollection of it. You know? I'm sorry, baby. Okay, come on. And a lot of times too, these screws would come loose, so the ignition switch would bounce around, and this little plate for the lock, the steering wheel lock, would loosen up, and everything would be bouncing around. And a lot of times you'd have to take it apart and just tighten the screws up because they'd vibrate loose. Okay. And I can't remember who, but somebody sent me that cool key fob, and I'm finally able to use it now. It was sitting in the car for a number of days. All right, I need to put grease on this one-handed. How am I going to do that without getting grease all over the car? All right, let's see. Oh, so I'll hang out of the car. It's white lithium grease. Oh, it's quite spoogey. Alright, well, that should be alright. Okay, let's see. How's it go? I think I have the key in it. What was that? Oh no. Something just dropped out. Oh, did it break? It broke, didn't it? You believe that little piece right there? That little dog, did it break? Sure did. The little dog broke. Where did it go? I forget where it went. You see a little dog. It may be for the oh, it went in there, didn't it? Okay, well, there's nothing I can do about that right now. There's absolutely nothing I can do about that right now. Okay, there it goes. So we have a little broken dog. It might be for the... I don't think this has a buzzer. I don't remember this ever having a buzzer. If it did, it hasn't worked. Okay, so... Oh yeah, that works much better. Before, when I tried to turn the thing, I feel like, man, it feels like I'm going to break it. I think the little dog was for the switch here, which is for the... What was that switch for? Great. I don't remember what that switch was for. Yeah, I don't remember what that switch was for. What was that switch for? I guess we are going to find out. Or somebody's going to make a comment. Yeah, I don't think this had a buzzer. I don't know. Anyway, it's working a whole lot better. So I guess, yeah, I guess we'll stop now. The next video will be me putting this thing the rest of the way back together. Yeah, that's so much nicer. Maybe I'll throw the battery at it and see if everything works now. Sweet! Alright. Boy is Cuda out.